The Galactic Concord ruled the stars for 10,000 cycles. Hundreds of alien species lived together in peace, trading resources and knowledge across millions of worlds. The oldest members, like the Serpentine Dune and the Crystalline Mora, guided the younger races with wisdom gained over millennia. Today, the Concord's High Council gathered on their capital world of Nexus. 5 senior members sat around a circular table, their holographic displays showing the edges of Concord space. A small blue-green planet had just made its first faster-than-light transmission. "Another emerging species," said Counselor Yuna, her slender fingers adjusting her monitor. "They call themselves humans, from the planet Earth." Counselor Bomi nodded, his massive scaled head reflecting the light. "Standard procedure. We send a diplomatic mission, observe their development, and invite them to join if they meet our requirements." "Who should lead the mission?" asked Yuna. "Envoy Tahoe is our best first contact specialist," Bomi replied. "He has brought 17 new species into the Concord without incident." Tahoe received his orders that same day. A tall, elegant being with silver skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights, he had served the Concord for over 200 years. His ship, the Peaceful Dawn, was small but beautiful, designed specifically to appear non-threatening to newly discovered civilizations. "This will be a routine mission," Tahoe told his crew of 5 as they prepared to depart. "We observe, we introduce ourselves, we extend an invitation to dialogue. No weapons, as always." The Peaceful Dawn left Nexus the next day, traveling through fold space to reach Earth's solar system within hours. They positioned themselves just beyond the orbit of Mars, and Tahoe sent a greeting message toward Earth. "People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Concord, a union of many species who live and work together. We wish to establish friendly relations with your world." The humans responded quickly, their voices excited over the communication channel. They invited Tahoe to approach Earth and meet with their leaders. "This is most promising," Tahoe told his crew. "They show no fear, only curiosity." Unknown to Tahoe, another ship lurked in the shadow of Earth's moon. The vessel belonged to the Vark Empire, the Concord's most dangerous enemy. For centuries, the Varks had fought against the Concord's influence, preferring conquest to cooperation. Their ships were black, angular, and designed for war. Commander Lot of the Vark vessel Blood Victory watched the Peaceful Dawn approach Earth. The Concord found them first. Lot growled to his second-in-command, "We cannot allow another world to join their alliance." "What are your orders, Commander?" asked his officer. Lot's face twisted into what his species considered a smile. "We will make sure these humans never trust the Concord, and then we will take this world for ourselves." As the Peaceful Dawn moved toward Earth, 3 Vark fighters emerged from behind the moon. They approached rapidly, their weapons charged. On the bridge of the Peaceful Dawn, an alarm sounded. "Envoy Tahoe," called the sensor operator. 3 vessels approaching at attack speed. Tahoe's silver skin paled. "Varks? Here, send an emergency signal to the Concord immediately." Before they could act, the Vark ships opened fire. The Peaceful Dawn, designed for diplomacy rather than battle, had minimal shields. The first volley tore through their engines. "We've lost propulsion," shouted the engineer. "Communications are damaged." Tahoe grabbed the console as the ship shuddered. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them." The second volley hit the bridge directly. The Peaceful Dawn broke apart, fragments of the once beautiful vessel scattering across space. Tahoe and his crew had no time to escape. Commander Lot watched with satisfaction. Now for the next phase. Target Earth's satellite network. Make it appear that the Concord ship attacked them first. The Vark fighters fired on several of Earth's communications satellites, using weapons specifically designed to mimic Concord technology. Then they disappeared back behind the moon, where their larger ship waited. "The humans will believe the Concord attacked them," Lot said. "And when we return, we will present ourselves as their saviors against the Concord's aggression." On Earth, Confusion reigned. Military leaders watched their monitors as satellites went dark. They had just witnessed the destruction of the alien vessel that had contacted them, followed immediately by attacks on their own orbital infrastructure. In an underground complex beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Daehyun of the United Earth Defense Force called an emergency meeting. The aliens destroyed their own diplomatic vessel, reported Intelligence Director Ji-hoon, showing footage captured by Earth's deep space telescopes. Then they attacked our satellites. Why would they reach out peacefully and then attack? Asked Admiral Daehyun. Perhaps it was a ruse, suggested General Minho. Or perhaps there are multiple alien factions. Director Ji-hoon nodded. The attacking ships were different in design from the diplomatic vessel. They could belong to a different species entirely. Admiral Daehyun stood up. Whatever the case, we must prepare for the worst. Activate all defense systems and bring the Leviathan to standby status. 2 days after the attack, a damaged escape pod from the Peaceful Dawn drifted into Concord territory. Inside was a single recording showing the Vark attack. The Concord High Council viewed the footage with horror. Tahoe and his entire crew murdered, said Counselor Yumna, her voice breaking. The Varks have gone too far this time. We must send a peacekeeping fleet immediately, insisted Counselor Bomi. The humans will think we attacked them. The eldest counselor, Jinwoo, raised a hand for silence. We have received disturbing reports from our long-range sensors. The Varks didn't just destroy our diplomatic mission. They fired on Earth's satellites using weapons designed to mimic our technology. They're framing us, Yuna realized. They want the humans to see us as enemies. It gets worse, Jinwoo continued. Our sensors detect a large Vark fleet assembling near their border. I believe they intend to invade Earth while the humans distrust us. The council debated for hours. Eventually, Counselor Jinwoo made the final decision. We cannot risk sending another mission yet. The humans will shoot first and ask questions later. For now, we must declare Earth's system a prohibited zone. No Concord vessels are to approach until we can find a way to explain the truth. And the Vark invasion fleet? Asked Bomi. We will monitor them closely, Jinwoo replied. But we cannot engage them without proof of their intentions. That would start the war we've avoided for centuries. The Council's decision came too late. The Vark fleet had already begun its journey toward Earth, led by Commander Lot aboard the Blood Victory. The primitive humans have no defenses against our technology, Lot told his officers. We will conquer their world easily and use their resources to strengthen our position against the Concord. His second-in-command looked uncertain. Our intelligence suggests they are primitive, yes, but they have advanced rapidly in recent decades. Some analysts recommend caution. Locke dismissed the concern with a wave of his hand. They have barely left their own planet. What threat could they possibly pose to us? As the Vark fleet approached Earth, Admiral Daehyun received the alert in her command center. 30 alien warships entering the outer solar system, reported her sensor officer. Same design as the vessels that attacked our satellites. Daehyun's expression hardened. They came as friends first to assess our strengths. Now they return as conquerors. She pressed a button on her console. Activate the Leviathan. It's time to show these aliens that humanity is not as helpless as they believe. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, lights began to flicker on in the massive underwater hangar that housed humanity's greatest secret, the UEA's Leviathan, Earth's first and only interstellar battleship, awakened from its slumber. The Varks approached Earth, completely unaware that humanity had prepared for this day for generations. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. Admiral Daehyun walked quickly through the underground base. Her footsteps echoed in the metal hallways as she made her way to the control center. Military personnel moved aside, saluting as she passed. Their faces showed a mix of fear and determination. Humanity's first contact with aliens had gone terribly wrong. Status report, Daehyun demanded as she entered the command room. The alien fleet has passed Jupiter's orbit, Admiral, said Lieutenant Jinho, his eyes fixed on the large screen showing the solar system. 30 red dots moved steadily toward Earth. Estimated arrival, 18 hours. Dahyun nodded. She had feared this day would come. As a child, she had watched countless movies about alien invasions. As an adult, she had helped build humanity's response. "It's time," she said simply. "Activate the Leviathan project." The command center fell silent. Everyone knew what those words meant. "Are you certain, Admiral?" asked General Minho, who stood nearby. "Once launched, there's no turning back. These aliens destroyed our satellites after pretending to come in peace," Dahyun replied. "Now they approach with a war fleet. Their intentions are clear." She turned to face the room, her voice strong and clear. "For 50 years, we prepared for this possibility. Now that day has come. Activate the Leviathan." General Minho nodded and pressed his palm against a scanner. A moment later, a hidden panel in the wall slid open, revealing a red button protected by a clear case. "Voice authentication required," said the computer. "Admiral Subin Dahyun, authorization Delta 97 Echo." The case slid open. Without hesitation, Dahyun pressed the button. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, 5 kilometers below the surface, something massive began to stir. The Leviathan facility was Earth's greatest secret. Built over decades through a hidden international effort, it housed humanity's ultimate defensive weapon. Only a handful of people knew the full truth about what lay within the underwater base. Captain Juwu stood in the main hangar, looking up at the enormous shape that filled the space. The UEA's Leviathan was unlike any vessel humans had ever built. It combined everything humanity had learned about physics, materials science, and weapons technology into one ship. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" said Chief Engineer Sunwoo, joining Juwu at the railing. Juwu nodded. "Hard to believe we're finally launching her." The Leviathan stretched nearly a kilometer in length. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflected it, giving it a shadow-like appearance. No external markings or windows broke its smooth surface, only the subtle outlines of weapon ports and thrusters. Alarms began to sound throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as the facility shifted to active status. "Activation order received," announced the facility eye. "All personnel report to stations. Launch sequence initiating." Juwu's personal communicator beeped. He looked down to see a message from Admiral Dahyun herself. "Captain Juwu, prepare for immediate launch. Project Leviathan is now active. You have command of the ship." "Looks like we're up," Juwu said to Sunwoo. "See you on board." As Juwu made his way to the bridge, the massive hangar began to transform. Water started to flow in through controlled inlets. The engineering team had designed the Leviathan to launch underwater, avoiding detection by the approaching alien fleet. Crew members hurried aboard through multiple entry points. Each had trained for years in simulators, preparing for this moment. Though no one had ever piloted the actual vessel, they knew their roles perfectly. Juwu entered the bridge, a circular room at the heart of the ship. Unlike traditional naval vessels, the Leviathan's bridge had no windows. Instead, wall-sized screens provided 360-degree views of the surroundings, enhanced by the most advanced sensor technology humanity had developed. "Captain on deck," called Lieutenant Hyeman as Juwu entered. "Status report," Juwu ordered, taking his seat in the command chair. "All systems online," reported the weapons officer, Taewon. "Railguns charged, missile silos armed, point defense network active. Engineering reports all power systems functioning at optimal levels," added Sunwoo from his station. "Fusion reactor stable. Navigation ready," said Hyeman, waiting for launch clearance. Juwu activated his communication link. "Admiral Dahyun, this is Captain Juwu. The Leviathan is prepared for launch." Admiral Dahyun's voice came through clearly. "Captain, our satellites have detected 30 alien warships approaching Earth. We believe they are hostile based on their previous attack. Your mission is to intercept and neutralize this threat." "Understood, Admiral." Zhu replied. Any specific orders regarding engagement? There was a brief pause before Dayan responded. We know nothing about their capabilities or intentions beyond their hostile actions. Use your judgment, Captain. But remember, you're all that stands between Earth and possible extinction. I understand the responsibility. Admiral, we won't let you down. Zhu ended the call and looked around at his crew. Most were under 35, the best minds from military and scientific fields around the world. None had ever faced combat against an alien force. Neither had he. The hangar is fully flooded, announced Sunwoo, outer doors opening. On the main screen, they watched as the massive underwater doors slowly parted, revealing the dark ocean beyond. All hands, prepare for launch, Zhu ordered. Engine room, power to main drives. The Leviathan hummed as its advanced propulsion systems engage. The ship began to move forward, gliding through the underwater tunnel that would lead it to the open ocean. Passing through hangar doors, reported Hyman. Depth 5 kilometers. As they cleared the facility, Zhu gave his next command. Set course for surface breakthrough. Prepare for atmospheric exit. The Leviathan angled upward, its powerful engines pushing against the ocean's weight. It accelerated smoothly, rising through the depths. Approaching surface in 3, 2, 1. The Leviathan burst from the Pacific Ocean in a massive explosion of water. Thousands of tons of seawater cascaded off its dark hull as it rose into the air. To any observers on nearby ships, it would have looked like a mountain emerging from the sea. Altitude increasing, reported Hyman. Switching to atmospheric flight mode. The ship continued to rise, quickly reaching the upper atmosphere. Its design allowed it to function equally well in water, air, and space, a testament to the engineering brilliance that had created it. Exiting Earth's atmosphere in 30 seconds, said Hyman. Zhu activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to engage an alien force of unknown capabilities. Each of you was chosen for this crew because you're the best humanity has to offer. Today, we defend not just our nations or ideologies, but our species itself. Stay focused. Trust your training. Trust each other. The Leviathan broke free of Earth's gravity well, entering the blackness of space. Its engines shifted to space propulsion mode, fusion drives glowing blue against the darkness. Set course to intercept the alien fleet, Zhu ordered. Maximum speed. The ship accelerated, moving faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. Within minutes, they had passed the moon's orbit. Captain, called Taiwan from the sensor station. I'm detecting the alien fleet near Mars. Their current trajectory suggests they're planning to enter Earth orbit within 16 hours. Show me, Zhu said. The main screen shifted to show the approaching alien vessels. They were black, angular ships with forward-swept wings that made them look like predatory birds. The largest was about half the size of the Leviathan. They haven't detected us yet, Taiwan added. Our stealth systems are working. Zhu studied the alien formation. They're not expecting resistance. They're traveling in a standard approach formation, not a combat one. That gives us an advantage, said Hyman. We could strike first, target their command ship. Zhu considered this. The Leviathan had been built with overwhelming firepower, designed to face superior numbers. But he hesitated to attack without warning. Communications, prepare a message, he said finally. Translate it into all known frequencies and formats. Message ready, sir, replied the communications officer. Send this. Attention alien fleet. This is Captain Zhu of the United Earth ship Leviathan. You have entered our solar system without permission after attacking our satellites. Turn back now or face the consequences of your aggression. The message was sent. For several long minutes, there was no response. Then the sensor panel lit up with warnings. Captain, called Taiwan. The alien ships are changing formation. They're powering up weapons systems. I think they've detected us. On the main screen, they watched as the alien vessels spread out into an attack pattern. So much for diplomacy, Ju said grimly. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. The Leviathan's weapon ports opened along its hull. Railguns extended, missile tubes prepared to fire, and energy weapons charge. We're outnumbered 30-1, Hyman said quietly. Yes, Ju agreed, but they're outgunned. He leaned forward in his command chair. Humanity is about to introduce itself to the galaxy. Let's make sure they never forget this day. The Leviathan accelerated toward the alien fleet, humanity's first and last line of defense against the stars. Commander Harrow of the Vark battle cruiser Steel Fang watched his display with growing excitement. His fleet of 30 warships had entered the human solar system with ease. Soon, they would reach the blue planet and begin their conquest. Status report, he ordered, his scaled fingers tapping impatiently on his command chair. All ships in formation, Commander, replied his first officer. No sign of resistance. The primitive defense satellites we destroyed earlier were their only orbital technology. Harrow smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Vark Empire had conquered 12 worlds in the past decade. Earth would be the 13th. Their world will make an excellent mining colony, he said. Prepare the invasion force. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. The sensor officer jumped from his seat. Commander, massive object approaching from Earth at high speed. Show me, Harrow demanded. The main screen shifted to show a dark shape moving toward them. It was enormous, larger than any Vark vessel. Its black hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. What is that? Harrow whispered. Unknown vessel, Commander. Our scans cannot penetrate its hull, but it's accelerating toward us at speeds we thought impossible for human technology. Harrow stood up. This was unexpected. The intelligence reports had said humans were a pre-spacefaring civilization with no significant defensive capabilities. Send a message to all ships, he ordered. Form Battle Formation Delta. Charge all weapons. The Vark fleet spread out, 30 warships moving into a three-dimensional attack pattern designed to surround and destroy a single enemy. Their forward weapons glowed as they prepared to fire. Sir, called the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the Earth vessel. Play it, Harrow ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. The creature looked calm, sitting in what was clearly the command center of their ship. This is Captain Ju of the United Earth ship Leviathan. You have violated our space and demonstrated hostile intent by attacking our satellites. Leave immediately or be destroyed. Harrow laughed loudly. One ship against 30. Your primitive species has courage. I'll grant you that. The human's expression didn't change. This isn't courage, he replied calmly. This is certainty. The transmission ended. Arrogant creatures, Harrow sneered. All ships, open fire. 30 Vark warships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space toward the Leviathan. Aboard Earth's battleship, Captain Ju remained calm as the enemy weapons approached. Point defense systems active, reported Lieutenant Taewon. Shields at maximum, added Engineer Sunwoo. The space around the Leviathan shimmered as hundreds of smaller energy pulses shot out from its hull. Each pulse intercepted an incoming Vark weapon, creating brilliant explosions that lit up the darkness of space. All enemy fire neutralized, Taewon announced. No damage to our systems. On the Vark command ship, Harrow stared in disbelief. Impossible. They blocked everything. Sir, his sensor officer said, voice shaking. The human vessel is powering up its own weapons. Juwoo's voice came through calm and clear to his weapons team. Target the nearest 5 vessels. Main railguns only. Fire when ready. 5 massive ports opened along the Leviathan's hull. From each emerged a long, gleaming barrel. The ship's fusion reactors channeled enormous power into these weapons. Railguns charge, reported Taewon. Targets locked. Fire, ordered Juwoo. 5 hypervelocity projectiles launched simultaneously, Each was a tungsten rod accelerated to near light speed. They crossed the space between the ships in less than a second. 5 ARC warships exploded as the projectiles tore through their hulls, shields, and power cores as if they were made of paper. 5 direct hits, announced Taewon. 5 enemy ships destroyed. Juwoo nodded. Move us forward. Prepare secondary weapons. On the Steel Fang, chaos erupted as Commander Harrow watched 5 of his ships vanish from his tactical display. What happened? He shouted. What kind of weapons are they using? Unknown, Commander. His science officer replied frantically. The projectiles moved too fast for our sensors to analyze. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Harrow ordered. Concentrate fire on the human vessel. The remaining 25 VARC ships scattered, trying to surround the Leviathan from all angles. They fired continuously, their energy weapons creating a web of deadly light. Once again, the Leviathan's point defense systems intercepted every shot. They're trying to surround us, observed Hyaman from the navigation station. Let them, Juwoo replied. Lieutenant Taewon, prepare the pulse cannons. Pulse cannons charged and ready, Captain. Fire in a full 360-degree spread. The Leviathan's hull pulsed with blue energy. Then, in a single moment, dozens of energy beams shot outward in all directions. Unlike the focused attacks of the railguns, these beams swept through space like an expanding sphere of destruction. 7 more VARC ships were caught in the pulse. Their shields failed instantly, and their hulls cracked open like eggs. The ships broke apart, scattering debris across space. 17 enemy vessels remaining, reported Taewon. They're retreating, Captain. True enough, the surviving VARC ships were turning away, accelerating to maximum speed. Should we pursue? Asked Heyman. Juwoo considered for a moment. No. Target only the command ship. The others can carry our message back to their leaders. The Leviathan changed course, accelerating toward the Steel Fang. Commander Harrow watched in horror as the massive human ship approached. All power to engines, he screamed. Get us out of here. The human ship is too fast, his officer replied. They'll overtake us in 30 seconds. Harrow knew he had one chance left. Divert all power to forward weapons. Prepare to fire the fusion cannon. The Steel Fang's bow opened, revealing a massive energy weapon, the pride of the VARC fleet. It began to glow as it charged. Captain, warned Taewon, the enemy command ship is charging what appears to be a large-scale energy weapon. I see it. Juwoo replied calmly. Target their weapon port with the main plasma lance. A section of the Leviathan's hull slid aside, revealing a weapon unlike the others. It glowed with contained energy, a concentrated point of artificial sun. Plasma lance ready, reported Taewon. Fire, said Juwoo. A stream of superheated plasma, hotter than the surface of the sun, shot forth from the Leviathan. It struck the Steel Fang precisely at its weapon port. The VARC ship's fusion cannon overloaded instantly. The resulting explosion tore the vessel in half. Enemy command ship destroyed, reported Taewon. 16 enemy vessels continuing to retreat. Let them go, Juwoo ordered. They'll tell others what happened here today. The Leviathan held position as the remaining VARC ships fled the solar system. The entire battle had lasted less than 20 minutes. Lieutenant Heyman turned to Juwoo. Captain, 3 enemy ships are heading toward the edge of the system, but they're not following the others. They appear to be on a course toward a different star system. Juwoo studied the tactical display. Track them. I want to know where they're going. Yes, Captain. Based on their trajectory. They appear to be heading toward the region of space where the diplomatic vessel was destroyed. Juwoo's eyes narrowed. The Galactic Concorde. They're running to the ones who sent the diplomatic ship. Why would they do that? Asked Sunwoo. Didn't they destroy the diplomatic vessel themselves? Perhaps to complete their deception, Juwoo suggested. Or perhaps they fear us more than they fear the Concorde now. He stood up, looking at the main screen where the retreating ships could be seen as tiny points of light. Either way, I think we're about to meet our neighbors properly this time. Juwu activated his communication link to Earth. Admiral Dayan, this is the Leviathan. The enemy fleet has been neutralized. 3 vessels escaped and appear to be heading toward what we believe is Concord space. Admiral Dayan's voice came through clearly. Excellent work, Captain. Return to Earth orbit and stand by for further orders. With respect, Admiral, Juwu replied. I recommend we follow those 3 ships. They may lead us to the Galactic Concord, the civilization that tried to contact us initially. There was a pause before Dayan answered. Very well, Captain. Follow them, but maintain a safe distance. Do not engage unless fired upon. We need to understand what's happening out there. Understood, Admiral. Juwu ended the transmission and turned to his crew. Set course to follow those ships. Let's see where they lead us. The Leviathan's engines glowed blue as it changed direction. The massive battleship moved with surprising grace, accelerating after the fleeing Vark vessels. Humanity's first victory in space was complete. Now they would take their first steps into the wider galaxy. The Galactic Concord Council chamber fell silent as the recording ended. On the large holographic display in the center of the room, they had just watched a single human warship destroy 15 Vark vessels in minutes. The recording had been transmitted by the 3 surviving Vark ships that had fled to Concord space. Counselor Yuna looked around at her fellow council members. Their faces showed shock, disbelief, and fear. This cannot be real, said Counselor Bomi, breaking the silence. The humans were supposed to be a primitive species. How could they build such a weapon? The recording appears genuine, replied Elder Counselor Jinwu. His ancient eyes had seen many wars, but nothing like this. Our analysis confirms it has not been altered. We made a terrible mistake, said Yuna. First, we failed to protect them from the Vark deception. Then we declared their system off-limits without explaining why. And now they have the most powerful warship we have ever seen, added Bomi. If they believe we were part of the attack. A junior officer rushed into the chamber, interrupting the council meeting. Counselors, we have detected a massive ship entering Concord space. It appears to be following the Vark vessels. The human warship is here. Jinwu asked, rising from his seat. Yes, Elder. It will reach Nexus Station in 6 hours. The council erupted in panicked discussion. Some called for evacuating the station. Others suggested mobilizing the Concord Defense Fleet. Silence, commanded Jinwu. The room quieted immediately. We will not panic. We will not show fear. We made a mistake with the humans, but we will not make another. Open a communication channel to the human vessel. Minutes later, Captain Juwu's face appeared on the council's main display. He looked calm and composed, sitting in the command chair of the Leviathan. This is Captain Juwu of the United Earth ship Leviathan. To whom am I speaking? Jinwu stepped forward. I am Elder Counselor Jinwu of the Galactic Concord. We have received footage of your battle with the Vark fleet. We wish to explain our role in recent events. Juwu's expression remained neutral. I'm listening. Jinwu explained everything. How the Concord had sent a diplomatic mission that was destroyed by the Varks. How the Varks had made it appear that humans were responsible. How the Concord had decided to keep their distance until the situation could be clarified. When he finished, Juwu was silent for a moment. We tracked the ships that attacked our satellites. They led us here. I need to confirm your story. We understand your caution, Jinwu replied. We invite you to dock at Nexus Station. Our diplomatic team will provide all evidence we have regarding the Vark deception. Very well, said Juwu. I will bring a small delegation. The Leviathan will remain in orbit, with weapons powered down but ready. Is that acceptable? Jinwu nodded. We agree to these terms. We will prepare for your arrival. The transmission ended, and the council let out a collective breath. Are we really going to let them dock at our central station? Asked Bomi. After what we saw them do to the Vark fleet, we have no choice, Jinwoo replied. If we refuse, we confirm their suspicions. Besides, if they wanted to attack us, they could do so at any time. Yuna stood up. I will lead the diplomatic team. We must make this right. 6 hours later, the Leviathan arrived at Nexus Station. The massive battleship dwarfed the station itself, its dark hull blocking the stars behind it. Its weapons remained visibly powered down, as promised, but its presence was no less intimidating. A small shuttle departed from the Leviathan and approached the station's main docking bay. Captain Juwu had selected his team carefully. Himself, Lieutenant Hyemin for her diplomatic training, and Ambassador Minji, who had been sent from Earth once the Leviathan reported first contact with the Concorde. The shuttle docked smoothly. When the airlock doors opened, Counselor Yuma stood waiting with a small group of Concorde representatives. She bowed deeply in the human style, having studied Earth customs during the journey. Captain Juwu, Lieutenant Hyemin, Ambassador Minji, welcome to Nexus Station. I am Counselor Yuma of the Galactic Concorde. Ambassador Minji stepped forward. She was a seasoned diplomat who had handled many difficult negotiations on Earth. Thank you for your welcome, Counselor. We come seeking understanding and, hopefully, peace. Please follow me to the council chamber, Yuma said. The full council is waiting to meet you. As they walked through the station, Juwu noticed how different the various aliens were from each other. Some had multiple limbs, others moved on hovering platforms. Some appeared almost human, while others were completely foreign in their appearance. All of them stared at the human delegation with unconcealed curiosity. How many species are part of this Concorde? He asked Yuna. 172 full members, she replied, and over 300 associate species. The Concorde has existed for 10,000 years, bringing peace and cooperation to the galaxy. Yet you allowed the Vark Empire to attack us, said Juwu, his voice calm but firm. Yuna's expression showed genuine regret. The Varks are not part of the Concorde. They rejected our invitation centuries ago, preferring conquest to cooperation. We have contained their expansion where possible, but our resources are spread thin across many sectors. They reached the council chamber, where the full council waited. Elder Jinwoo rose to greet them, extending all 4 of his upper limbs in a formal welcome gesture. Humans of Earth, he said, his translator converting his complex language into English. We welcome you to the Galactic Concorde with sorrow in our hearts for the misunderstanding that has occurred. Ambassador Minji bowed respectfully. Elder Counselor, we appreciate your welcome. We have come to hear your explanation and to determine if peaceful relations are possible between our peoples. Jinwoo gestured to the center of the room, where a holographic display activated. It showed the original diplomatic vessel, the Peaceful Dawn, and its journey to Earth. Our envoy Tahoe was one of our most experienced diplomats, Jinwoo explained. His mission was peaceful, to welcome Earth into the galactic community and to offer membership in the Concorde. The display shifted to show the Vark ambush and the destruction of the Peaceful Dawn. The Varks have opposed us for centuries, continued Jinwoo. They saw an opportunity to turn a potential ally against us, while simultaneously weakening both Earth and the Concorde. Captain Juwu studied the footage carefully. This matches what we observed from Earth. But why didn't you send another ship to explain? Why declare our system off-limits? Counselor Bomi spoke up. We feared you would shoot first and ask questions later. The Varks made it appear as if we had attacked you. We needed time to gather evidence and prepare a proper diplomatic mission. Meanwhile, the Varks prepared an invasion fleet, Juwu noted. Yes, Jinwoo admitted. We detected their fleet movements, but could not act without evidence of their intentions. To attack them preemptively would have violated our most sacred principles. Ambassador Minji spoke clearly, her voice carrying through the chamber. The United Earth government understands your position. However, you must understand ours. We were left alone to face what we believed was an alien invasion. We had no choice but to defend ourselves. Your defense was remarkable, said Yuna carefully. The Leviathan is unlike any vessel we have encountered in the Concorde's history. Humanity has always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best, Minji replied. The Leviathan was built in secret over many years, drawing on our best technologies and brightest minds. A single ship that could defeat 30 Vark warships, mused Bomi. Impressive and concerning. Juwu stepped forward. The Leviathan is not alone. Earth has begun construction on additional vessels of its class. The council members exchanged worried glances. Ambassador Minji raised her hand to calm the situation. But we did not come here to threaten. We came to understand. Now that we know the truth, we can discuss how to move forward. Elder Jinwu nodded. What does Earth want from the Galactic Concorde? Minji looked at Juwu, who nodded for her to continue. First, we want formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty and right to self-defense. Second, we want access to Concorde star charts and trade networks. Third, we want a formal alliance against the Vark Empire and any other hostile powers that may threaten Earth. These are reasonable requests, Jinwu said after a moment. In return, would Earth consider joining the Concorde as an associate member, with the possibility of full membership in the future? We would consider it, Minji replied. But Earth will maintain its independent defense force, including the Leviathan and its sister ships currently under construction. The council members whispered among themselves. This was unusual. Most new species joined the Concorde and placed their defense under Concorde protection. Finally, Jinwu spoke again. We accept these terms as a starting point for negotiations. There is much we can learn from each other. Ambassador Minji smiled for the first time since arriving. Thank you, Elder Counselor. Earth looks forward to peaceful relations with the Galactic Concorde. As the formal meetings continued, Captain Juwu found himself talking with Counselor Yuna in a quieter corner of the chamber. Your ship is truly remarkable, she said. I've never seen anything like it. We built it because we feared this day would come, Juwu replied. A day when Earth would face a threat from beyond the stars. And now, Yuna asked, what will Earth do with such power? Juwu looked out through the station's viewport, where the Leviathan hung against the backdrop of stars. That depends on the galaxy we find ourselves in. We come seeking peace, Counselor Yuna. But we are prepared for war. 1 year had passed since the Leviathan first entered Concorde space. The massive human battleship now orbited Nexus Station, joined by 2 sister ships that had completed construction, the UES Titan and the UES Colossus. Together, they formed Earth's first fleet, a force that had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Inside the Grand Hall of the Concorde Council, Ambassador Minji stood before the assembled representatives of 172 species. She wore a formal blue uniform with Earth's new symbol, a globe surrounded by stars, on her shoulder. The treaty between Earth and the Galactic Concorde has brought benefits to all our peoples, she said, her voice calm and clear. Our technology exchange program has already improved faster than light travel efficiency by 15%. Our joint security patrols have reduced piracy in the Outer Rim by 40%. Elder Counselor Jinwu nodded in agreement. The ancient being had become one of humanity's strongest supporters. The addition of Earth as a Security Council member has strengthened the Concorde in ways we never anticipated. Not everyone shared his enthusiasm. Counselor Bomi still viewed humans with caution. Yet we cannot ignore that Earth maintains its independent military force, including 3 warships more powerful than anything in the Concorde Defense Fleet. Ambassador Minji smiled politely. The Earth Defense Force exists to protect not just humanity, but all peaceful species, as we have demonstrated in our actions against the Vark Empire. The mention of the Varks caused a stir in the chamber. 3 months earlier, the Vark Empire had launched a surprise attack against the Concorde colony of Proxus. The colony would have fallen if not for the timely arrival of the Leviathan and Titan. The human ships had destroyed the Vark fleet without losing a single crew member. The sanctions against the Vark Empire have been implemented as agreed, reported Counselor Yuna. Their trading privileges have been revoked. Their diplomats have been expelled from Concord space, and yet they continue to build warships, noted Captain Juwu, who stood beside Ambassador Minji. He now served as Earth's military representative to the Concord. Our intelligence suggests they plan to attack again, this time with a larger force. Elder Jinwu sighed deeply. For 10,000 years, the Concord has avoided open warfare. We contain, we sanction, we negotiate, but we do not launch preemptive strikes. With respect, Elder, Juwu replied, sometimes the best defense is a strong offense. The Varks understand only strength. The debate continued for hours. In the end, the Council voted to increase patrols along the Vark border, but stopped short of authorizing military action. Ambassador Minji accepted the decision with grace, but Captain Juwu's disappointment was clear. Later that evening, Captain Juwu stood in the observation lounge of the Leviathan, staring out at the stars. Ambassador Minji joined him, carrying 2 cups of tea. "You're upset about the Council's decision," she said, handing him a cup. Juwu took the tea but continued looking at the stars. "They don't understand what we're facing. The Varks won't stop. Each defeat only makes them more determined. The Concord has survived for 10,000 years using diplomacy and patience," Minji reminded him. "We've been in space for barely a year. And in that year, we've done more to stop the Varks than the Concord has done in centuries." Juwu turned to face her. "You know what Admiral Dahian says. Earth cannot rely solely on the Concord for protection." Minji sipped her tea. "Is that why the 4th battleship is being built in secret?" Juwu looked surprised. "How did you know about the behemoth?" "I'm an ambassador. It's my job to know things." She set down her cup. "The Concord will see it as a violation of our treaty. We agreed to build only 3 battleships. The treaty says we can't station more than 3 ships in Concord space," Juwu corrected. "The behemoth will remain in Earth orbit as a defensive measure." Minji shook her head. "These distinctions won't matter to the Council. They're already nervous about our military power." "Then perhaps they should build better ships," Juwu replied. Their conversation was interrupted by a priority alert. Lieutenant Heyman's voice came through the ship's communication system. "Captain Juwu, Ambassador Minji, you're needed on the bridge immediately. We've received an emergency transmission from Earth." They hurried to the bridge, where the main screen showed Admiral Dahian's face. She looked tired but determined. "Captain, Ambassador, the Vark Empire has launched a major attack against 3 Concord worlds simultaneously. But that's not all. A 4th fleet is heading directly for Earth." Juwu's hands tightened into fists. "How many ships?" 50 warships, including what appears to be a new class of dreadnought," Dahian replied. "They'll reach Earth in 72 hours. The behemoth isn't ready yet." "We'll return immediately," Juwu said. "The Leviathan can reach Earth in 36 hours at maximum speed." "What about the Titan and Colossus?" asked Minji. "They're needed here," Dahian answered. "The Concord has requested their help to defend their worlds. This is a coordinated attack designed to split our forces." Juwu turned to Minji. "You should stay at Nexus Station. It's safer." The ambassador straightened her back. "My place is on Earth. Our people need to see their leaders standing with them." Admiral Dahian nodded. "Good. Return as quickly as possible. Earth will hold until you arrive." The transmission ended. Juwu immediately began issuing orders. "All hands to battle stations. Prepare for immediate departure. Lieutenant Heyman, plot the fastest course to Earth." "What about the Concord Council?" asked Minji. "We should inform them of our departure." "Send them a message," Juwu replied. "We don't have time for debate." Within an hour, the Leviathan had left Nexus Station, its engines pushing to speeds no Concord ship could match. Meanwhile, the Titan and Colossus moved to defend the Concord worlds under attack. 2 days later, the Leviathan emerged from hyperspace near Earth. They found the planet's defenses already engaged with the Vark fleet. Earth's orbital platforms fired continuously at the approaching enemy ships, while smaller human vessels fought bravely against superior numbers. In the center of the Vark formation floated an enormous ship, twice the size of any previous Vark vessel. This was their new dreadnought, the Pride of Vark, commanded by Supreme Commander Krell himself. "The Varks have improved their technology," observed Lieutenant Taewon from the weapons station. "Their ships have stronger shields than before." "They'd been preparing for this," Ju said. "They know we're their biggest threat." He opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. "Admiral Daeyeon, the Leviathan has arrived. What's the situation?" "Captain Ju, welcome back," Daeyeon replied. "We've held them off so far, but we've lost 3 defense platforms and 7 ships. Their new dreadnought has some kind of energy weapon we've never seen before. We'll take care of it," Ju promised. "Just keep their smaller ships busy." The Leviathan moved toward the Vark fleet, its weapons charging. Almost immediately, 20 Vark ships broke formation to intercept it. "They're trying to swarm us," said Hyman. "Just like we expected," Ju replied. "Activate the new defense grid." Engineer Sunwoo pressed a sequence of commands. The Leviathan's hull began to glow with a blue energy field, an innovation developed by combining human and Concord technology. The Vark ships opened fire, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the energy field. The Leviathan continued forward, unstoppable. "Target their dreadnought," ordered Ju. "All main weapons." The Leviathan's weapons locked onto the Pride of Vark. The massive Vark ship turned to face them, its main cannon glowing as it prepared to fire. Both ships fired simultaneously. The space between them lit up with energy so intense that observers on Earth had to shield their eyes. When the light faded, the Leviathan remained, its energy field flickering but intact. The Pride of Vark drifted in 2 pieces, its main systems destroyed. "Target destroyed," reported Taewon. "The remaining Vark ships are retreating." Earth's defense forces cheered as they watched the enemy flee. The Leviathan had arrived just in time, once again saving humanity. 2 weeks later, representatives from Earth and the Galactic Concord met on Nexus Station. The Vark attacks had changed everything. For the first time in its history, the Concord voted unanimously to form a joint military command with Earth taking the lead role. Captain Ju, now promoted to Admiral, stood with Ambassador Minji as they signed the new treaty. "Today marks a new chapter for the galaxy," Minji told the assembled council. "Earth and the Concord, working together for peace, but ready for war if necessary." As the council applauded, Elder Jinwoo approached the humans privately. "When the Leviathan first arrived in our space, many feared humanity would become the new threat to peace," he said quietly. "Instead, you have become our most valuable allies." Admiral Jiwoo nodded. "Humans have learned through our own history that peace must be protected, sometimes with diplomacy, sometimes with strength. The galaxy will never be the same," Jinwoo observed. "No," agreed Minji with a small smile. "It will be better." Beyond the station viewport, the Leviathan floated alongside Concord vessels, a symbol of the new galactic order, where humanity's battleships no longer inspired fear, but hope.